Thank you so much, Adil. Thank you guys so much. This place is so rad. I feel like I'm inside a website. When I first walked in here, I'd never been here before. Of course, I spent a lot of time in the mission. I was born in San Francisco. But this place is so inspiring. Not just what's being projected on the walls, but just like the quality, the energy that's in this room right now. Like there's a lot of intelligence. You can feel it tingling in the air. And I'm not just saying that to tickle you, but to really acknowledge like what's happening here. There's something really profound that's happening in this room right now. Whenever we come together and start to synchronize our minds, we start to tap into what the yogis call the unified field. And this field that pervades everything, that's shining in everything, as everything, is considered the source of all solutions. Because the field itself is love. It's what connects and unifies us. And whenever we allow the mind to soften into that field, naturally the solutions start to spontaneously arise one after another. It's almost effortless. And it's this practice of going into ourself, cutting through all the noise, and getting to that one thing that we're essentially all thirsty for, which is love. Love is the solution. And so I wanted to just share a few words with you guys today, but more than just words, I just wanted to really just be with you and talk a little bit about this power that is animating everything, that is connecting everything. And I think the more we focus on it, the more we start to see how everything is interconnected. And then we start to find these solutions that are not just on the surface, but that are really creating lasting change. You know, Gandhi, we hear this phrase all the time, be the change you want to see, and now it's kind of thrown around as like a bumper sticker or something like that. But it's a really powerful thing to think about. If we want to see the change, we have to be the change. Shifting our perception changes the reflection, and making that little correction helps us to see the underlying connection. So when we can start to feel, and let's just all, just as an experiment, because I'm a yogi, my wife Amanda and I were yoga teachers, and we really understand how important it is to just take a deep breath in, and then exhale. That is the most revolutionary thing we can do right there. It just breathe our mind back into the moment and get back to what's essential. From here, then we can start to build a dialogue conversation and learn about each other's perspectives. I'm going to talk a little bit about Gandhi because Gandhi was a huge proponent and believer in not just tolerance. Tolerance is when we just sort of like we tolerate the way people are. But deeper than tolerance is really listening and understanding people's stories. We live in a world made of words. Words create worlds. We're all constantly telling stories to ourselves and to each other. And when we tell a story about the world, we are actually revealing to the world the story that we're telling about ourselves. So for me, as a student of words, an MC, a poet, what I've learned is that the most powerful way to really connect is just to listen. For me, it starts by listening to my breath, and then hopefully I can better hear my wife. I was so inspired to sit and listen to this urban homestead project, which is such an incredible example of people who are being the change, who are listening to the earth, listening to themselves. Because I feel like when we listen, we're less likely to oppose or to superimpose our agenda onto other people. And we can run around thinking that we have all the right answers and all the solutions and telling everybody what to do, and it just creates more noise, more problems. Because until we're able to really turn inward and look at ourselves and shift our own perception and get to the root of our own mind, okay, that's the moment when we can start to really make lasting change, deep change, profound change. Some of you may know about this word, radical. You guys know about the word radical? It comes from the same root as the word radish. You know, to break the surface and get down to the root. Because I think what we're all gathered here, what we're all interested in, if I'm correct, is we all want to make change that's going to last for generations. Working efficiently so that we can help to foster culture that's going to help to shift the tide. And I hope you'll forgive me a little bit because I'm freestyling. I just got invited like the day before yesterday. And so really, I just wanted to come up here and just sort of share like how I'm feeling, share this new video that we just released. And I would love to be able to communicate some of the changes that I've been able to experience in my own life through yoga. So I just want to give you a little context of who I am. So I grew up here in the Bay Area. I was kicked out of every school I ever went to. I was kind of considered like a juvenile delinquent. My parents ended up sending me to a reform school, a group home for at-risk youth. And I kind of found myself rebelling against everything that was being superimposed on me. It was to the point where I was in high school walking around with a loaded gun in my backpack, you know, hanging out with kids who are in gangs and, you know, finding myself in some really hairy situations. And I got to the point where I realized that I was perpetuating it because of who I was choosing to hang around with, how I was spending my time. And when I started to look around, I saw that all the kids that I was going to school with, a lot of them, some of them ended up committing suicide. Some of them went off to war. Some of them got pregnant very early. Some of them ended up in jail. And it was very bleak, and I saw that there wasn't a lot of hope. So fortunately, I was able to discover yoga and meditation at a pretty young age, and I was about 18 years old, right when I got out of the group home. And when I started to practice yoga and meditation, I started to do these experiments on myself. And I started to see that this whole time I was being force-fed what to believe, and I just couldn't digest it. And it wasn't until I started to really look in and study myself and to really pursue my own passion, my own love, that it really started to lead me deeper and deeper and deeper into understanding what it is that connects all of us, what it is that we all have in common. And through the yoga and through the meditation, I started to open my eyes a little wider and look to people who were embodying those changes in themselves and were actually talking from a place of experience, which led me to the life of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was a very early proponent of sustainability, permaculture, living not beyond our means. And he very much was about walking the talk. He was also very much about not talking so much, which I'm trying to work on personally. Gandhi took a vow every Monday he didn't talk. And just recently I've started that practice. On Mondays I stopped talking. And my wife, Amanda, can tell you all about that. It's one of her favorite days of the week. And it's just, these are just little practices that I've sort of encountered, studying the yoga tradition, traveling to India, sitting with many great mystics and teachers and really just being inquisitive, asking questions and learning, not because, I'm supposed to pass a test, but learning because at a certain point I became hungry to understand who I am and why I'm here. And so this path led me to Gandhi, and it inspired me to really study his life. We went and stayed at his farm in India, read a lot of his writings, and I got inspired to write a song about his life because I felt that through hip-hop music, it's a great way to condense a lot of information and transmit it pretty quickly. So I wrote this song. It's called Be the Change, and I recently produced this video, which we just released, I think, last week with my good friend Michael Rosen, who's the founder of Samplistic Media. And I'd love to share it with you guys, if that's okay. Yeah. And again, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be a part of this amazing forum and this amazing gathering. It really is truly, I feel like, completely electrified just being in your presence. It is a powerful, powerful place. So you ready, Adil? Yeah, cool, man.
Dedicated to all spiritual activists, truth seekers, and peaceful warriors worldwide.
I regard myself as a soldier, though a soldier of peace.
Once upon a time, not long ago, there was a boy who would grow and become a great soul. He lived in India, and his name was Gandhi. He believed in human rights, and he fought for equality. He felt so strongly that he trained himself, cause he realized first he'd have to change himself. He changed his clothes and decided to walk. Some days he practiced silence and refused to talk. When he was young, he studied to be a lawyer, and then he became a great spiritual warrior. He read from the scriptures of every religion, came to the realization that we're all God's children. Because he understood that we're all equal, he became a spokesman for the people. A karma yogi, devoted to service, to spread truth and peace was his purpose. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world. Be the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Just like Gandhi. Gandhi dedicated his life to the cause, even when it meant breaking unjust laws. He often faced prison and incarceration, but that only strengthened his determination. He said he would make every sacrifice, but that he would never kill or take a life. He used his heart instead of his fist, and he taught non-violence as the way to resist. A peaceful soldier who used his mind to fight for the rights of humankind, but not just people, animals too. In his basic teaching, God is truth. He joined Muslims, Sikhs, and Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, and Jews. All the many paths that lead into the light that shines bright inside of me and you. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world. The change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Be the change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi taught an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, and it takes more strength and faith to be kind. With that in mind, Gandhi took a stand against the foreign occupation of his land. When things got violent, Gandhi would fast, not eating for days until the riots would pass. But the biggest event that made the British halt is when Gandhi G decided to harvest salt. The British Empire installed a salt tax, and stealing salt was an unlawful act. So Gandhi and his peeps took to the streets, 10,000 deep, they marched to the beach. But when they arrived, they were beaten with clubs, but they didn't fight back, instead they chose love. The foreign military realized they were wrong and eventually decided to go back home. You see, Gandhi G was a very great leader, but before all that, he was shy and meager. As a young child, he was just like you and me, before he became Mahatma Gandhi. The word Mahatma, it means great soul, and it's inside of us, just waiting to unfold. If you follow your heart and act real bold, next time it'll be your story that's told. You gotta be the change that you wanna see in the world. The change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. The change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world. The change, just like Gandhi. Be the change that you wanna see in the world, just like Gandhi.
regard myself as a soldier to a soldier of peace.
To get to share. And just thank you so much for just all the inspiration that's in this room. You know, watching these videos on this screen, you know, sometimes it could be overwhelming, like all the things that are going on in our world today. But when you see footage of people feeding little baby goats and raising bees and these simple little acts that are revolutionary and just being kind to one another, you know, being mindful of, you know, the food we eat, how we spend our time, how we spend our energy. It's the small things that make a huge difference. So thank you guys so much. Namaste.